Welcome to everything you need to know about energy coaching. If you're just joining, I just got back on the call. I'm Magali Pasha, and I don't know how much you guys heard of my intro. I was introducing a little bit about myself and Mark and Jeremy. So we are all the Coaching Institute, and we are enrolling in energy coach training. And so today our time together is really about explaining what energy coaching means from our perspective, um, details about the training, and answering your questions about energy coaching. We received over 200 questions this week about energy coaching. And I've tried to make it as understandable as possible. And I do have a lovely slideshow I'd like to share with you guys. Jeremy, could you make me does it help if I'm the host in order to share my slides?
Connection-wise, it shouldn't matter. We can try it though.
Okay, but I do have the ability to share slides.
Yes.
Okay, great. And if everybody could, make sure you write into the chat any question you have that is important to you, because you're here live, and so I wanna prioritize your questions about energy coaching. So not all questions, but just about this one area. And I'm a little worried about sharing my slides, to be honest, because last time I did it that's when Zoom booted me off. But one thing let's start actually without the slide. Let's start for a moment about what energy coaching is at Coaching Institute. Because there's a lot of things I could say it isn't, but what I want to explain to you is like the different parts of an energy coaching session, because I think that will really bring it home in a better way to explain the parts of an energy coaching session. So just like life coaching, as energy coaches, we want to know what's going on in our client's life. We want to understand the different parts of their life, what their goals are, their priorities. Now, usually people that come to energy coaching, if that is your specialty, and by the way, if you are an energy coach, you don't have to call your business name or your practice energy coaching. You can be whatever kind of coach: key decision coach, mindset coach, health coach, and you use some of the energy coaching strategies and exercises to assist your clients in getting the energy that they need and want in order to take actions, in order to feel the way they'd like to feel, and to bring more qualities into themselves and into their life that are more on the spiritual side. So let's look at the parts of the session. So let's just imagine you're in an energy coaching session as the coach, and you want to first check in with your client. How are you today? How has your week been? What's going on? Do you have a strong intention or focus point for our meeting today? And that's really important, because clients come to coaching often with a kind of idea of what they want to understand, process, start, look at, that's going on for them. And if a coach is only paying attention to the goal that the client set maybe 2 months before, often the client will not feel understood or really supported in what's going on with their life. So we begin always with that check-in. Now, as an energy coach, this is a little different than regular life coaching. You might include a practice that you do with all your clients as you begin for just a few minutes. This might be a short centering practice. This might be that you know the client and you know some of their resources, and so you have them focus on their own creative resources that are based on values or on something they love in their life. It's very client-centric. But as energy coaches, we can bring in this kind of centering practice, connecting practice, kind of deepening practice at the beginning of every coaching session. And you'll notice I'm using very universal language. We are not teaching our clients a specific tradition based on religion or spirituality. We're staying with the client's values, beliefs, and what works for them. So we might start with that intention centering practice, then go into maybe 5 to 10 minutes about what's going on in their life. So that gets us to about minute 15 of the coaching session, trying to break it down for you as much as possible. Now, you might have prepared for this client based on their request for you. Like, let's say you know that a big overall request they have is they're procrastinating things that are important to them, and they're not taking the steps in their life they really want to take. Or let's say you know that this client has a big goal to bring in more community and connection to their life, or to improve their self-esteem. Whatever you know, or the client has brought up in the first few minutes of the coaching, will then be kind of the heart of the coaching session. And that is where there's, of course, a lot of flexibility and variety that you can have as an energy coach. But you might take them through a process you would learn and be trained at the Coaching Institute and how to lead them through, that helps them in finding, maybe it's healthy boundaries or healthy power, or maybe it's more information about the project they're working on. And as energy coaches, we would use processes, exercises, and techniques that empower the more, I always look for the right word, and there's not just one word, so I'm going to use a bunch, like the inner experience, I like to say the creative mind instead of saying the unconscious or subconscious, but the part of the client that is really connected to their truth and to what is really empowering at the deepest level. So that's what the exercises and techniques and processes get to. That's how we're assisting them. But they're also kind of fun and creative. So a client might, during one of these processes, meet a helper emotion and get to know that emotion. A client might go on a guided journey with you and experience a beautiful, peaceful setting where they can find the kind of resources they need for regrouping and finding symbols or metaphors that will help them in the project they've been procrastinating. A client might go with you on a guided meditation journey. That's what I call them, because they're not really, they don't fit into any classical model that I can give another name to. So I call them guided meditation journeys, but they're led by the coach. They're co-created by coach and client. So the client is not just passively going on this trip with you. They're creating the experience at the same time with you. Their eyes open, they don't have to do closed-eyed work. Some clients, the exploration might be very somatic. Some clients, it might be visual. Some clients, it might be bring in elements from their real past or what they want in their future. Or it might be a totally magical landscape. So there's a lot of variety. And my goal is to train people in as many different session processes and techniques that you can plan out, like knowing what your client wants to create and what the skills are they want to bring in. You can plan easily 4 to 8 session focuses of skills and processes you'll be sharing with your client for the next month or two. And of course, then you might change the plan along the way. I hope you do. But it's nice to know that you can have that set up. So back to the parts of the session. So the process part, especially in the beginning as an energy coach, I think it's best to keep any kind of especially closed-eyed work to about 15 or 20 minutes. And this is because we don't want to exhaust our clients. They might be doing this kind of exploration for the first time. They might be getting new information. They might be feeling things they haven't felt before. And so we want to keep it to about 15 or 20 minutes. And so now we're about 40 minutes, 45 minutes into our session after the process. The third or fourth part of the session is to integrate and process the information they received so they know it's theirs. It's not something you gave to them or showed them. It's not something you taught them, like, your intuition center is purple. No, for them, it might be green or yellow. Um, this is about their experience and how they want to use it in their life, sometimes in a very practical way moving forward. So that is a very, very important part of the session, that they are kind of owning their own truth, taking their meaning, and you help them to make it an empowering meaning. And moving forward into their week, maybe with a practice they want to do, maybe with a question they're going to kind of be with, maybe with an action they're going to take. Maybe it's with their children, or maybe it's in the area of a hobby or at work. But we are applying these spiritual energy techniques, processes, strategies to the person's real life. Now, some clients will have the intention to deepen their spiritual path, to process energy, to be able to go into their body experience, their nervous system, to bring creativity and healing. And for those kind of energy coaching clients, the week ahead might be about that discovery process for them. But it doesn't have to be. You're not limited to making the energy coaching all about the spiritual path, because everyone's life, every part of life is part of what makes us meaningful and present, and all those qualities that we associate with spiritual can be found in any aspect of our life. So we make the coaching a reflection of that. And I am going to attempt to share my screen again. So stay with me. If it doesn't work, don't worry. I will be back, and Mark or Jeremy will jump in, okay? Let's see here. So that's the first slide. So now I would like to go into looking at some of the kind of elements within energy coaching, but I do need my iced tea for that artificial energy. So we have meditation, energy exercises, breathing and awareness techniques, guided journeys, and session strategies. Now, in all that, there's a lot of creativity, and there's an experience of sensing things in different ways. So as a coach and as a client, you don't have to do things in a particular way. You don't have to be visual. You don't have to be kinesthetic. You don't have to be heart-based or mental. You get to explore really what is your more natural modality, and you help your clients explore that while having experiences that might broaden or increase a person's ability to, for example, feel their emotions, or to be able to imagine something the way they imagine it. That might not be visual. That might be the sense of imagining through listening, or through a physical knowing. So we're always, again, we're client centric. So we're always going with the client's experience. One other thing I wanted to mention that I think is really, really important, maybe kind of at the top of my list today, is for you to know that I am not teaching like Magali's spiritual path or Magali's steps to whatever. Like, I have a very important, for me, spiritual path and belief system. But that's not what this program is about. And that's not what, as coaches, we are giving to a client. So whatever our own path or tradition is, it's so important and it's so precious. And whatever our client's tradition or path is equally precious and important. So we want to really honor everyone's traditions, religions, and their way of growing and learning and evolving. So I will sometimes, like, accidentally, in a sense, share something that is my belief system, of course. And I'm sure you will too, as an energy coach or as a life coach. We do share our truth because it would be silly not to. Our truth is the most important thing. And we make sure to always honor the client's truth and where they are coming from, knowing that that's the most important thing for them. Um, and and with that in mind, we all work on developing our use of universal language, that doesn't, like, leave anyone out. You know what I'm saying? I think you probably do. Um, and if you know that a client, um, maybe, like, they believe in God, but you like to think of God as universal energy or light or love, um, you might decide to use their word. That would be up to you. But that is part of developing our own sort of spiritual flexibility that will come through our coaching. We also don't have to be like master meditators or anything when we are energy coaches. It is good, though, to be deepening our own practice in some way. So let's say you love to garden, or you love to run, or you have young children. You can create a spiritual practice that's maybe 5 or 10 minutes a day that incorporates those parts of your life that are already really important to you. So it might be even just once a week you garden with a certain sort of energy that you bring to your gardening. Or it might be when you're taking that run, you set an intention at the beginning of the run. And different runs, you bring a different kind of sensory awareness to the way you're running or dancing or painting. So we want to bring our spiritual path into our life. And if you're a meditator, wonderful. Or if you practice a path with, lots of people wrote to me with their different traditions. I can't say them all, but that's wonderful. You don't have to change anything about that. You keep doing your practice, but as you do this training, if you were to do this training, you'll probably learn to bring some deeper attention to the quality of your practice and how to get more information from that deeper part of yourself. And whether you do this training or not, I think that's a wonderful thing that we're all probably doing whenever we have any kind of practice that's meaningful to us. Okay, so what does this slide say? Exercises and processes. So in these lovely rectangles, I'm so impressed by PowerPoint, how it can do this for me. I've kind of brought in some of the benefits that come from these energy and spiritual exercises and processes. So this is often what you might say to someone that you help people increase inner presence, acceptance. You might say that in your coaching, you help people with their focus or their expansion or their creativity or their ability to use different senses, the wonderful positive emotions. There's so many you might mention. I always like compassion, peace, kindness, joy. I'm also lately, I know it's not a great, like, I don't know, it's not a very sexy word, but I really like enthusiasm. I've been spending a lot of time with the word enthusiasm. Like, I think enthusiasm is really important. I think, especially as we're kind of tired in the world right now after dealing with so many months or year of a pandemic, having healthy enthusiasm is a really beneficial. So I love that word. And everyone's different, and everyone will have different kinds of outer goals and inner goals when they're coming to energy coaching. So we pay attention to those outer extrinsic goals, like they want to make a job change, or they want to go on a vacation, or they want to improve a relationship. And we also pay attention to the inner goals of how they want to feel, what they want to be able to understand about themselves at the deeper level, or process or heal. And we're working at both levels. So we're also doing life coaching along with energy coaching, and we prepare you for both in this program. So let's look now at another aspect, which is guided journeys. So, and like I said, I usually call them meditation journeys because they're not like traditional shamanic journeys, even though I have done quite a bit of that kind of journey work. I'm not going to drum for you. I'm probably not going to sing for you or anything like that. And you probably won't do that in your sessions unless that's what you do. Great. That can be beautiful if that's something that you do, drumming or singing or using singing bowls. But what I do is I use guided meditation as a way to go into a journey experience and experience an altered state where the client and the practitioner both get to expand and explore. I think we just got a very cute little person's voice there for a second. But we get to expand and explore our inner landscape and what brings us strength and healthy power and the ability to speak our truth and the ability to live open hearted and also the ability to really set clear boundaries and to understand when we are feeling a no and when we're feeling a yes, and to not, do any guilt or shaming of ourselves to always be feeling yes. Sometimes we need to feel no, and sometimes we need to communicate no. And so in the guided journeys, that is often a guided journey is often a process of finding healthy power and returning that and processing that, your client processing that and you assisting them to understand what that means and how that might keep growing and giving the person insight and wisdom in their life. So we are talking, we are using our mind. We honor our mind and our intellect. It's not like set aside in this work. Although when we are doing some of the energy or meditation or guided processes, often we are also really using other senses very powerfully to get information. So while some people get information through words and thoughts, other people get information through a kind of atmosphere, a kind of movement, a kind of pattern of some kind. And we can help our clients translate that information into what brings them healing and healthy power and resources. And like for me, it's a constant process of learning. As I use these techniques and do this work with myself every day, I'm learning how to translate. I'm learning how to hear that very quiet kind of inner soul voice. And so as coaches, I'm kind of assuming that we will all be in a process together of learning and evolving as we do this work. It's not separate from the work we do. And one thing I have found is that when any kind of service work is going to the deeper levels of meaning and purpose and empowerment, the practitioner of any kind, whether you're a coach or a healer or a teacher or a parent or a friend, whatever it is, the service that you do for others deepens and heightens your path and the way you're growing and evolving on a spiritual level. So there's enormous benefit. And the more we give and the more of service we are, the more we also need to know how to take care of ourselves, how to have healthy boundaries, how to understand kind of the pros and cons of being sensitive, and if you are an empath or if you develop more of that kind of skill, how to find grounding and balance. And for everyone, that's different, but that's something that I would definitely want to help everyone and on any level that I can help to increase that understanding and that sensitivity. Um, Having myself gone through that with lots of pros and lots of cons too, so I've learned. Um, so again, here are some cool benefits of guided journeys. Oftentimes, people, not just clients, but people in general, have fatigue or energy drain or a sense of not being enough or an over attachment or clinging to something they lost or something they want. And their focus on it actually might be making them lack enthusiasm or joy or love. And so the guided journeys in a very gentle, easy way bring back to the person their kind of their truth. And the healer, the reason we say like the energy is the healer, you could call it the inner wisdom is the healer or teacher, or the higher self, or the present moment, or the silence, but whatever you call it, people are finding that deeper wisdom in themselves. And as energy coaches, we're really honoring that and helping the client highlight for themselves their own discovery and how they're going to keep evolving that, how they're going to keep experiencing that. And so um, it's awesome. Of course, also there are times when people hit something really emotional and deep and meaningful, and it invokes you know, a release of emotion. I don't want to ignore that quality. And we have processes and tools for acceptance, for welcoming, and being with any shadow is kind of the popular word, or like just difficulty. When we help clients be loving and kind to themselves, it's one of the best things we can do for another human is to assist them in that ability to be their own best friend, to be their own healer, their own source of kindness and love. And then that allows the obstacles, the blocks, the resistance, the sadness or the grief to find healing. And um, often the processes we do help clients to find archetypes or guides that assist them. So this might be an emotional helper that through creativity processes, they kind of find the qualities of joy, for example, that are almost like a friend. And they're not making a person. They're not like nothing weird like that. But through getting to know a positive emotion, or getting to know a part of themselves that we use the word archetype, like Jungian archetypes, but it's a little different the way we use archetypes. It might be the magician archetype that gives them magic and creativity and flexibility and a sense of being able to make changes easily. And that magician archetype assists them. Or it could be the lover, or it could be another archetype that is important to them, that takes a form of like a singer or a clown. There's so many different archetypes that a person might have. The truth teller. And we really explore that with the client as a source of compassionate guidance, support and compassionate guidance. So all the archetypes and guides that we would use in any process are always to be coming from the highest truth, from the person's most spiritual, truthful, aligned, light-filled, luminous qualities. We are not exploring any kind of what you would think of as dark energy or shadow that way. If something comes up that's difficult, then we heal and process that. But we bring in helpers that are always on the positive, empowering, light-filled side. And this is why this work goes well with any religion or tradition, because we're very careful to keep it always on the filling up with light and love. And I think this is a beautiful gift that we have as people to do this and to help other people. So I'm sure you guys can read the slide with all of these um, cool qualities of working with archetypes and guides. I don't know how long I've been talking here. I want to get to your questions. but I'm almost done here. So here are some of the kind of overall topics that energy coaching strategies work with. So energy centers, and here I am trained in Ayurveda, and I do use the more classical, like from the yoga tradition idea of we work with 7 different centers. However, I do this with a lot of flexibility, and I deeply respect all traditions, and have in my own experience experienced many more energy centers than the classical like crown to the root chakra. Um, so people will experience sometimes energy in the side channels. People will experience energy as like geometrical shapes, different colors, different temperatures, and this work is very flexible. And like I said, it's not just one tradition, and I'm not teaching a like Magali tradition. So we'll honor everybody's way of experiencing energy centers in themselves. And then metaphors are one of the main tools of energy coaching. Whether a metaphor is a color or a bird or a certain word, we'll work with metaphors as ways to bring healing and connection within the person, often going into the body experience. And I'm not going to read every single one of these because you guys can read it on your screen. But one thing I did want to touch on that I think is really important is that energy coaching can really help people in how they're relating to certain parts of their life or roles in their life. And this might be a part of their work day. This might be a difficult relationship. This might be the energy they feel that they're getting, that I trust they are getting from someone else, and or someone from the past, and how to heal that within their own system. We're not acting like they can actually go and transform the other person. I mean, sometimes people can, but as energy coaches, we want to help them learn to process and turn anything that is creating a sense of discomfort or imbalance in the person, whether it's a thought or a physical sensation or a low energy. We want to work with that to be able to help the client be able to heal that. So often boundary work is really important with that. Finding healthy drive and finding the practices that help the client in particular to fill with their own light and their own love and their own connection to their truth. So this is client centric, and it's about the individual's deeper truth. And this will get into, helping them expand their impact in their community and their relationships, understanding other people, and what their empowering beliefs are as well. And values. I love values. If you guys know me, you know how much I love values. So, but I'm going to try not to only talk about values. And so now I want to talk a little bit about aspects of the training, and then I want to get to all of your questions. But we did get a lot of questions, and like one of the kind of main questions was, is this also a life coach training? And yes, it is. So you are trained as a life coach with a specialty in energy coaching and some other specialties. So I'm going to go through this really quickly now, because I know you have other ways to get this information on energycoach.net, and many of you have already gotten this information. So I'm going to be fast here. It is a 6-month online training that you could do all in your own time, or you can come to the live aspects, which are many, but you don't have to attend anything live. So we begin on with the 1-day boot camp training that is live, where we really go to the core kind of skills of our tradition of activation method life coaching. So you learn a lot of the basics in that 1-day intensive training. And we're doing a new thing where we're having a morning session, an afternoon session, and then an evening session that repeats the morning session for people who live in a part of the world that morning California time doesn't work for them. So it is a worldwide community that always come to our trainings, and you get to meet people and you get to practice your coaching skills. And so in boot camp, you learn through hearing about it, seeing the coaching happen, hearing it, and then doing it. But in that one day, which is brand new, that new one day of training, we're really going to the heart of the skills and making the demos and the practices short and easy. So people can kind of just like ease into their coaching shoes. And then we, in the 6 months of training, you have, see, 3, sometimes 4 live classes every week that are optional. So you have a mentorship group workshop every week with Mark and myself where we answer your questions. We offer you supervision. Sometimes we talk about a specific strategy, or we do a little coaching with you, or mentoring is more the way I like to look at it. And the whole community is there from all the different coach trainings. So you're getting to meet a lot of people. These classes are usually 50 to 70 people in a class. And then we do a weekly practice lab session, again for the whole community, where you're learning 21 coaching skills, and you get a guide with each of those strategy plans. And so everybody gets 21 of those. And that's optional, but you can come live to that every week. If the timing doesn't work, we can connect you through your community Facebook group with someone else to work with and practice, or you can practice on your own or on yourself. So now I'm talking about the weekly live classes that are optional. They're all recorded for you. You get your training forever. Your training is held in classrooms that you never lose your access to. And then you also get the weekly energy coach training, which is a 2-hour, I'm going to try to keep it to only 2 hours, a 2-hour workshop with me where I will walk you through the exercises, the strategy processes. I will be doing demos, I will be doing group work, and you will be learning and doing the practicing of the energy coaching strategies too. So every session will be a little different, and you'll get a chance to learn in different ways and to experience the energy coaching strategies. And that is for 16 weeks live, and those are 2 hours each week. They're all recorded. There's no time limit, like you don't have to graduate in 6 months. You have as long as you need, and you can get each certification as you complete it. So actually 5 certificates come with the one training, where again, we'll have those 3 sessions a day, and you're learning 2 to 3 coaching strategies each day and being able to practice and use them. Live access is optional. You don't have to come live to that. You'll also get a classroom of that training. And then in addition to all this good stuff, you also get a meditation training room with, an abundant amount of guided meditation practices that you can work with in your own time. There's no requirement there. We'll talk in the program about honoring yourself and your practice and setting your own intentions. And then you also get a 21 Journeys teacher training certificate, where you do a 21 Journeys teacher training program. It's self-led, and you learn how to guide the 21 Journeys class. And that is a class that you can offer in the community. It's a great way to get people interested in your coaching, in energy coaching, in the deeper purpose, meaning spiritual sort of coaching, that if you're interested in energy coaching, you're probably hoping to have some percentage of your practice have that focus. Maybe not all of it, but some percentage. And then you also receive the Retreat Leader Activation Method certification, where you have 20 modules that you can coordinate and mix and match into your own retreats, which might be half a day, they might be 4 days. You can use that in different ways, the 20 modules. And again, that's self-led in your own time. And each module comes with a worksheet and notes for the teacher. And it really goes, both 21 Journeys and Retreat Leader, I couldn't not include them in this program because they go really well together. So it's like you're getting so many different tools and strategies and guides that you can use. By guides, I don't mean like non-ordinary guides. I mean actual written materials that you can use to guide a process or a strategy session with a client. So we give you all of that in writing as well, and you get transcripts. All the classes we do, we try to transcribe. So you get an audio version, the video version, the transcription version, and this way people can really use their own learning modality as they go through the training. Okay, let's see what your questions are today. And I also have these 200 questions I can read out loud if no one has a question. But I think you guys have some questions. Mark, Jeremy, do you guys want to read people's questions out loud?
Sure. We did have one question earlier on about parts of the energy coaching session, and Deborah asked, could you please give an example of the integration process?
Sure. Okay. So I'm gonna draw from a recent session I had with someone. They and I think I wrote about it in one of the emails actually. They were coming for coaching around an issue actually with studying. And as the process we did was one where they found resources in different kinds of sort of angelic beings or archetypes that were there to support them, and they also got like some specific music and kind of they were also very mathematical, and they saw geometric shapes and things that assisted them. So after they went through that experience that was about 15 minutes long, where I was just asking questions and they were sharing with me, and we were going through this sort of story together in a sense, then we looked at what that meant for them. How were they going to create a practice in their regular life before they studied that would be empowering? What they wanted to take from that, what it might mean at different levels. And I know in this particular session, the client realized that that what was being healed was a part of herself that was like the rule breaker, the more of the um, I don't know why I can't think of the word for it. I know I have one, but you know, that part of herself that's the rebel, the rebel. So she was looking at how to heal the rebel, and that it was the rebel who didn't want to study a certain way at a certain time and kind of do this stuff. And so that's what she was working with on integration. And so that would be the third part or the fourth part of the last 15 minutes of the session together. Yeah. So hopefully that helps describe it.
Beautiful. There was a question a couple of times about if the recording of this session today will be available. So I figured it's worth mentioning that, yes, we'll share that by email with everyone.
We always do, unless Zoom lets us down. But
Question about the coaching boot camps, how we have different, we've seen there's different dates that we can choose from. So is there flexibility there? And also, are some of the boot camps coming up, are they different if we have somebody in the community who's already taken a boot camp with us in the past?
absolutely. So we have 5 different boot camp levels now. We have the Opal level, which is our new 1 day that gives everyone that really important foundation and introduction. So we actually encourage all of our students to just like come back as many times as they can to that. And we invite you. So, and then we have the 4 different gem levels, which are, I guess pearls are not gems, but it was diamond and that was confusing. So we have pearl, ruby, sapphire, and emerald. And each of the boot camp trainings are designed specifically to give you some practical, like organizational type understanding level strategies, some relational strategy. And by strategy, I mean those session guides. Also, a more creative, expansive kind of strategy guide and coaching experience. And also one that's a little more energetic, somatic. And one that, what would be the other category? I said relationship, but more about taking action and planning steps. And so each of the gem level boot camps covers enough variety so that a coach could use that plus the one day to have a 10 session offer that they're able to bring to their clients. So that if a client really didn't know what they were looking for in coaching, the coach could say, I have these 10 strategies I like to take my clients through, and we'll figure out your goals as you go. But this is a process of discovery we do together. And when you have like a 10 session plan like that, it's very, it gives a lot of courage, and it helps us as coaches to kind of start our path, because we know that we have something we can really offer and we've gone through it. So we ask all of our students to do each strategy 3 times, including being a client with it, so that you have that experience before you offer it to a paying client. And we find that's really important. Did I answer everything there, Jeremy?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. And Mark, I don't know if you're listening, but if you could come up and turn on my lights. It got dark in my room. My overhead lights went off.
Of course.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions here? Or should I go to our 200 written in questions?
I think probably a good time to go to the 200. One private
Okay.
question I got, is it ideal to sign up before this one-day boot camp? Is that kind of an ideal place to start because it's the
Yeah.
fundamentals?
Yes, that is the best place to start. If someone can't because of their timing, then you just let us know, and you'll get the recording of that. But those one days are a great place to start. It's okay. You can leave the fan on, Mark. And let's see. Oh, here's a question I like. Can energy coaching be combined with yoga or meditation coaching? Absolutely. So energy coaching can be combined with all kinds of different specializations. And yeah, so I would love to have, I actually already know that I have some yogis in the program. I have some people that are very dedicated Christians. I have, we've already got a nice handful of students with their own interests, and that's what makes the program unique and exciting. So. And right now, we're not offering that one day as a standalone. We might in the future, but right now it's just for students who are in one of our training tracks at Coaching Institute. Also, those one-day trainings, the team is very involved. And so when you're practicing and learning the skills, you have a lot of support. So you never really feel like put on the spot. It's a learning environment, so we encourage everyone just to do their best and try it out. And especially the one day, we're making as easy as possible with shorter practices, so that everybody can engage with it. Okay. Any written question, Jeremy, before I go to the doc?
No, I think that covers us on the written questions.
Great. Okay, this is a pretty deep question. Is it safe for the coach, or is it that negative energies, pain bodies, like Eckhart Tolle calls them, can be transferred during the session from client to coach? So the idea of a pain body is actually something that we have been teaching at Coaching Institute for about, gosh, I think 7 years now. I really think that that's a very powerful could say metaphor, you could say real thing. It depends on, where you're coming from. But I do find that energy coaches, one of the skills you learn is to not absorb other people's pain or energy. So you are filling up with your own light, with your own truth, and you're holding that space for the client to be able to process any obstacles, pain bodies, difficulties in themselves or with others. And that is one of the real skills. Now you're not doing hands-on healing. And now most energy coaches are working over Zoom. However, of course, energy is a real thing. So we want to stay filled with our own resources and positive qualities when we're working. And we practice that with each other. So like one way I do that, you can't see it usually when I'm in Zoom, but just holding my hands like this helps remind me to stay kind of expanded and present. And also with certain rituals you can do, kind of practices before you begin coaching and at the end of coaching. And if you ever feel like, because I'm very porous, I'm very porous energetically, I will feel other people's energy. So I've learned the hard way to do practices to clear and release and let go and move energy. And that's one of the things I really want to empower energy coaches to be able to do for themselves. Because, whether we're an energy coach or not, if we are porous energetically, if we are sensitive, then a lot of energies in the world, it might even just be by watching the news, can sort of affect us. And we want to be able to let go of that. Okay. Did anything else come in, Jeremy or Mark, or should I keep going to the doc?
There was one question about, is it okay to start this training while finishing up one of the life coaching programs with us?
Absolutely. They really help each other out. So energy coaching helps life coaching. And like I said, this training is also life coaching. So you're getting both. And what we find in today's kind of coaching marketplace, you could say, and it's nice to have some specialties, because the more you can speak directly to what certain people want more of in their life, the easier it is to sign up clients. So that's why at Coaching Institute we offer these different specialty tracks, because we find it really helps the coach in signing up clients.
Then Lisa clarifying, so you will teach us strategies to clear our energy.
Yes, for sure.
Beautiful.
And more importantly, my hope, my intention is to empower you to create some of your own strategies specifically for your energy system. And like I can teach you kind of universal techniques. But most importantly is I can help you go through guided meditations where you find your inner kind of inner teachings about the way you clear your own energy the most successfully. Like when I did that for myself, I never would have in a million years guessed that it would be singing. So I sing to clear my energy. But I also do traditional things like burn sage, and there's a lot of different techniques we can use, and people find their own metaphors and their own practices as well. Sometimes it's all a lot easier than you would expect. That's one thing I want to say, is that we offer a lot of tools and techniques and strategies, and this is probably really bad enrollment practice right now that I'm doing, but I have to be truthful. When we get to the heart of really what energy coaching is and these strategies and the way we clear energy and empower energy, it's much more simple than you would think. But holding that intention and staying with your client as they do that work and being able to process it with them and knowing it in yourself, that is the part that does take skill and practice. Because our intentions as practitioners, as coaches, are also being experienced energetically by our clients. So when we know our own truth and we're able to embody that, it doesn't mean we're perfect. It doesn't mean we're clear of bad moods or all negative energy, but it means that we are able to hold that space with the client to do that work. And hopefully we do experience more inner light, more of our own personal healing as part of the path. I mean, that's one of my greatest intentions for all of us in this work. So, all right. Any other questions? I know we're at the hour, but I can stay longer. And if anyone wants to ask a question live.
Yeah, if you'd like to ask a question live, actually in the participants menu at the bottom is where you'll find a button to click. It says more, maybe on your own name on the bottom of the list of names. Click more, or there's three little dots, and that's where you should find raise hand.
And I just realized none of my slides said vibration or frequency. That's really essential. Someone wrote that into the chat. So what's surprising about vibrations and frequencies is sometimes they're experienced in real silence or in really deep connection um, with the body, with the physical system. You don't have to always be making sounds or using like objects that create frequencies to experience frequencies. So that is one of the things that all the guided journeys are kind of helping us to find the healing frequencies that empower ourselves and that will empower the client will find it in themselves to empower themselves because it's client centric. And all the you can go to energycoach.net and that has the different tuition plans there, energycoach.net. The entire program is $29.95 in a one pay, $2,995, and it's a pretty fantastic kind of organization of these different 5 certificate programs in one, because each of those I've had people write in and say, can I get just one? I'm like, sure you can, but it costs about half of the entire thing to get just one. And so that's why we have this kind of special price when we group it together. Okay. Let's see some more questions here. I would like to know more about energy coaching for physical healing. I'm very interested in helping to activate the energy gates that have been closed off due to a need to protect, and how that lack of flow is now presenting itself as autoimmune disorders and various illnesses. So this is such a great question, really coming from someone's true life, right? So if someone is aware that they're having certain physical ailments and they believe that there is an energy cause, we can offer a lot of resources and coaching to assist them in their own healing process. Now, that does not mean we're practicing medicine. So we don't call it medicine. We never encourage a client to not see the right doctor or alternative health practitioner. We are not a replacement for any kind of other medical system. We are doing energy coaching, which is an empowering healing process. But often when a person has had an imbalance go into the physical body, they do need a more physical level of healing. Now, the energy can also bring a lot of healing, but it's not a replacement. Just to be super clear. And I think the person writing that knew that. But one of the things now, to be a little bit more on the mystical side in my answer, okay? So that's the practical, that's what I would always put in writing. That's what I would say to my clients. Now, on the personal level, I have had surgeries, for example, where I had like a bad mole actually right on my third eye and another one on my temple removed. And when I was going through the after surgery healing process, I was really amazed by how my energy system worked to send kind of light and energy to those areas and really intensified my experience of energy as I was healing from these like deep, wounds in my face. And then I also used energy coaching on myself to make paintings that highlighted colors and shapes on the goddess I was painting that brought me healing. So that's the more mystical side of things. And I am going to teach some workshop at some point about using creative tools like painting and drawing to bring our own healing energetically, because that's one of my main resources and tools myself is to draw and to paint, and also to take photographs. So that can be a practice, to go out in the world and take healing photographs for yourself. Okay, any other questions that have come in, Jeremy?
Good follow-up. Do I need to be some kind of coach or professional already to come and learn energy coaching in this program?
Nope, you can be a beginner to all of it, to life coaching, to energy coaching, to meditation. There is no prior experience needed. And we all have our own life experience, so we all have spiritual experience, and this program will honor whatever your life experience is, and we will train you in the strategies and the exercises and the practices so you can work with yourself and with other people. And I also got a question here in chat from an existing student about, can we use energy coaching with couples? And yes, yes, yes. Energy coaching will be a great resource to use in your couples coaching. It's also great in parenting coaching. Energy coaching works really well with health coaching. Well, I'm a big fan of energy coaching, so it works great with group coaching you might be offering. That's why we include the retreat leader and the 21 journeys. It is very, very helpful actually for executive coaching, because often executives or business owners are actually having to process and work with a lot of different people's energy, right? And so they're often more aligned and open actually to understand energy and to find where they are like kind of carrying that part of their life into other parts of their life, what it means to have different people with different kinds of energetic fields or experiences on their team. So you would be surprised by how much energy coaching can come into the business environment as well. And I had one of our team members actually talk to that often, because she's a very busy professor in counseling, but she is at some of our live boot camp trainings. Valerie wrote to me this morning and she said, "I'm so happy you're finally offering energy coaching," because she knows that this has been sort of something that's been there all along in all of the life coaching we teach. And this is the first time it's sort of coming forward in its own training with this focus and the unique strategies. So for me, it's a little bit like, well, it's very exciting, and it's a new phase in what we offer at the Coaching Institute, but it's also part of the entire system. So it merges really well with all the different coaching traditions that Mark and I are part of. Yeah. Any other questions there, Jeremy, or anyone have their hand up and want to chat?
No hands up yet.
Okay.
Thought this was a great couple of questions here from Gwen. Nice to see you here, Gwen. What is the difference between energy and emotion?
Well, often we feel energy through our emotions. So some people are more wired to really experience things emotionally. And so they will make that translation within themselves. Some people are more wired to feel things kinesthetically. And so instead of feeling the energy emotionally, they'll feel like a a widening experience or a narrowing experience. When someone feels things more emotionally, it can be a little bit tricky at times to learn to translate that. So let's say they get the emotion of like alarm, like a warning emotion. They might need to look closer and say, so what could be going on an energy level in the thing or the person or the environment I'm relating to? And what is this emotional message in myself that I'm getting? And how do I work with that on an energy level? Like, am I that fear or that alarm? Or is that just here as a teacher for me? Something to welcome and hear, notice, however they sense it, but also move through it, with it, beyond it. So we really respect emotions. And oftentimes, what we're doing with our clients is helping them understand the energy messages in an emotion and to validate emotions, because many people do not know how to validate their own emotions. They put themselves down for the way they feel. And so energy coaching can really help to be with whatever emotion is presenting, not in a state of wallowing in that emotion, but in a state of learning from it, being with it, allowing it to offer us its own healing presence, even grief, even fear, you know. Anger usually is asking to be released and to show the person what's underneath, but anger also is an important messenger. So we have lots in that area to work with our clients with. So when I use the word wire, I don't use it in an NLP way. Um, and I know that's confusing because NLP kind of uses that metaphor a lot. When I use the word wire, I mean a little bit more like I experience things energetically in a kinesthetic way, like I was talking about, like a expansion or a narrowing, or I'll feel energy like a tightening or a movement. So I'm more of a kinesthetic experiencer of energy. I will also sometimes hear things, like just a very quiet sort of listening. Um, Other people are more visual. They're wired to kind of see things in metaphors. Other people might feel things in temperatures. Other people might feel things as emotions. So that's what I mean by wiring, what kind of senses we use. There's also just that deep inner knowing. And we can learn to expand all of our senses. Someone might say, I don't sense anything. It's just like a fog when I do that. And so then we accept that. Okay, let's learn from that fog. Let's be with that fog. What's it like to be in the fog? What does the fog have to teach us? Now, I would know if someone has said this to me actually several times. When a person is using the word fog, they're speaking metaphorically. They're also a little bit visual because they might be seeing a kind of gray mistiness, or they might be sensing it. So I want to know more about how they sense that fog. And then accept that, always accepting the way one is processing, or like I use the word wired to experience things, and make it right. Help the person feel their own sense of how they are, and that is valid and right. That is, again, it's easy. This is not complicated, but people need this. They need to be allowed to be themselves and to honor themselves and love themselves and be there for themselves. And so this is one of the things that all of the strategies are helping to empower in all the clients and in all the coaches. Okay. Any other questions or thoughts or shares?
I think you touched on this
Okay.
a little bit earlier, but from Alexandra, can you give an example of on how you could incorporate energy coaching strategies into a life coaching session?
Mm-hmm. One thing you might do is, if you know the client, let's say a life coaching client wants to experience more calm. They don't want to lose their temper around their family, or they might say they have a short fuse. So you might ask that client, what would be a skill that you think if you had it, you would be able to feel more calm or not lose your temper? And they might say, well, patience. I really need patience. And then you might offer that you have some exercises to help increase patience. And that might be a 5-minute guided journey. That might be a breathing exercise. That might be a visualization, depending on who the client is. It might be calling on their values or their beliefs. And while that's not traditional energy coaching, you can work with values and beliefs also in an energetic way by asking the person. So let's say you ask that person who wants to have more calm, tell me about someone who you know who shows that kind of mood that you want to have, and we can learn what skill they have. And they say, well, actually, like my grandfather was an incredibly calm presence in my life. And so then we might bring in uh, an experience of that sense of that client's grandfather, but on an energetic level. And people know what energy means for them. So when you ask them, tell me about your grandfather's energy, and they start to remember that. And then you might ask them, so what does that energy feel like when you just breathe it in and you just allow it to be with you or speak to you? And you're not presenting this like a woo-woo thing. You're just asking them questions. But they're going into the experience of that calm presence of their grandfather or of some musician they love, who, whatever it is. So you're taking from their real life an example, and then they're feeling it on the energy level. And that's one of the ways that energy coaching works versus just thinking about the priority of being calm, how that will benefit other people. I mean, those are all great strategies too. But I find if we go to the energy system as well, it deepens the impact for a person versus just staying with the thought of what it means to be calm or who it benefits. Because probably they've done that. We're all pretty trained to try to use our logical mind to convince ourselves to change emotionally. And it's very hard to talk yourself into a better state. So energy coaching uses the experience. I know I gave a long answer there, but it's a good question.
Wonderful. I think that's most of the questions I see in the chat right
Cool.
now.
How many hours? This is a good practical question. How many hours do we need to spend a week? I'm a working single mom of 4 and need to make sure that I have enough time. Well, congratulations that you're have 4 kids and that you take care of them. That means probably, I'm guessing, that you're already kind of an amazing energy person yourself. So you have all the time you need to graduate from the course. So there is no like cutoff. There is 6 months of live classes, but there's no set amount of time you have to give each week. Some students will work 1 or 2 hours a week. Some will do 1 or 2 hours a day. Some will not do anything for a month and spend a whole day on their training. So it's really up to you. There is no required live presence in the classes. Everything is recorded. I would say the most important part of the energy coach training is the part that is live and recorded in those 16 weeks. And so that's about 32 hours of material. And then there's a classroom with additional, maybe somewhere between 40 to 50 hours of additional material that's less important. And I give a lot of options, like out of these 12 videos, choose 5. You can do, we tend to give more than you need. And then to graduate, we try to make it as simple as possible. So the graduation requirements are always just to add a few sentences of notes for each of the materials you're learning from. There's no test. It's about sharing what your discoveries are as you go through the content. And the live classes are all on Zoom. Um, if ever, I mean, in the past we used Maestro Conference, but I think we're staying with Zoom. And the boot camps are live online, and they're all recorded. And actually, when you join Ruby Boot Camp, is a first-time boot camp, so there's no recording of that yet. But the other boot camps, if someone was coming to like an Emerald boot camp in a couple months or something, then they would get that recorded classroom, and the live Emerald boot camp. And anyone who comes to Ruby boot camp will also get the recorded Ruby boot camp classroom. So we make it really easy to return to your training and to your content. We have never, ever, ever heard a student say they didn't have enough training. We give you an abundant amount of training so that you have it there always as a resource to return to. Huge hugs to all of you. I have to say it was very strange for me today coming onto this session and knowing I wasn't going to get to meditate with everybody. So thank you for your energy here, and it was its own form of practice sharing all this information together. Be well, and I see Melanie, my meditation friend. All right, and Deecom and Anna and Alexandra and Jamie, you guys are the ones right at the top of my screen. I know there's many more. Let's all go to view and just look at each other for a minute and share our energy and send out our wishes of peace and growth and good energy to everybody. So, because I know we all experience it, and we could all use that too. So a big energy hug to everybody. So good to see your faces. Many of you I know, some of you I don't, but so good to be here with you guys. All right, talk soon. Be well, everybody. Bye-bye.